All praises to the Most High, Ahaya, and Ahaya alone. For He alone is our Master. He alone is our Savior. He alone is our Redeemer. He alone is our King. AHAYAH. This is Brother Holly with the first Spirit of Truth broadcast here on the AHAYAH'S channel, as well as the House of Ahaya channel on this set-apart Sabbath day. First and foremost, as always, I'd like to give all glory and praise and honor to Ahaya and Ahaya alone. For He is the Allah Shaddai, or the one who provides everything for His people, the children of Jacob, the 12 tribes scattered to the earth. To every Hebraic brother and sister of mine, may you be having a blessed day. May your Sabbath be a day of rest, relaxation, and communion with our Most High Power on this set-apart Sabbath day. Now, first of all, I'd like to ask all of you for your forgiveness. This broadcast being the first broadcast is coming out very late today, but I've been in a conversation earlier with family members and friends about various subjects, and hopefully that now everybody is well. Everybody is in a good place, for lack of a better term. And children, don't neglect one another. This is not the time to be neglectful of one another. I'm sure it's tempting to, just be completely introverted and not being concerned about others, but other people around you, to include your family members and friends, may be going through some things, or maybe going through some crises, emotional, mental, physical, what have you. A lot of times they are very quiet about it, but if you call or they call you, especially they call you, child, and they reach out to you, excuse me, my back itchy. But if people reach out to you, please hear them out, and allow the Spirit of Ahaya to guide you in trying to help them navigate through their issue. All praises. We'll be reading from the Book of Jubilees, English Hebrew edition. And what we're going to be going over in this first broadcast, children, is who was the Most High speaking to in Genesis chapter 1 in the Tanakh when He said, "Let us make man in our image and likeness." Now, I believed for some time, not a long time, but for some time, when I was amongst the Constantine Christians, that He was talking to the quote-unquote Son, JC, incarnate JC. Even the New Testament says in John chapter 1 that the word speaking of JC was in the beginning with Allah. So it kind of led you to believe that when He said, "Let us make man in our image and our likeness," He was talking to Him, or He was speaking to the Spirit, if you were a Trinitarian, as I used to be. But when I came out of Constantine Christendom and got into Hebrew, became a Hebrew Christianite. So if you believe that you are of the 12 tribes of Jacob, but you still follow the New Testament, believing that JC is your Messiah, sent to die for your sins, for the sins of all Yasha, then for one, that belief and that belief alone goes against Torah. It's unlawful to believe that. For it says in Torah, in Deuteronomy 24:16, that every man must be put to death for his own sin. And it says in Exodus 23 that the Most High don't accept someone being ransomed for someone else. He won't accept that. So that goes against the whole gospel message, goes against Torah. It's anti-law. It's anti-Messiah. For the Messiah is King David, according to Psalms chapter 2 and Psalms 89. The Messiah is King David, not some Johnny-come-lately. And I said all that to say this. When we read the Book of Jubilees, in Jubilees chapter 2, which we'll be reading in a moment, it lets you know, point blank, who He was talking to when He said, "Let us make man." and it wasn't no sun. Let's get into it. Turn, if you will, in the Book of Jubilees, chapter 2. We're going to start reading at verse 1. Now, this is a bit of a long read, and forgive me, I had to make some adjustments here to my workstation. All praises. Just a bit of a long read, and a lot of this is redundant, but I will point out the main point that I'm making here. And once we cover that main point, I'll read a few verses after that, and then we'll wrap it up. And in the second broadcast, we'll come back to Jubilees chapter 2, and I'll show you that we are in fact the people that the Most High has had on his mind since the beginning. It's right all here in Jubilees chapter 2. I recommend, if you do not have a copy of Jubilees at present, get you a Hebraic copy. Look this one up, special edition one. Look this one up. It's a standalone book. I forget, it's like $80. I know, for something this small, but it does have some colorful illustrations in it. But when you get a Hebraic copy of the Book of Jubilees and not a Greek Septuagint copy of Jubilees, or a Greeked up, yucked up copy, or Latin copy, it will give you the actual factual truth from the Book of Jubilees, and you won't be subverted by the Christians' attempts to poison the water, so to speak. But let's get it from a Hebraic source. Jubilees chapter 2, verse 1. And the angel of the presence spoke unto Moshe according to the word of Yahweh, saying, Write the book of the whole creation, how in 6 days AHAYAH finished all his works that he made, and he rested on the seventh day, and hallowed it for all ages, and appointed it as a sign for all his works. Jubilees 2, verse 2. On the first day he created the heavens which are above, and the earth and the waters, and all the spirits which minister before him. Will you highlight if you have it? Now, in the book of Genesis, it doesn't tell you that in the first day that the Most High created any spirits. It never mentions when the ministering spirits, or the angels, were created. The Malachim, as they're called in the Hebraic verses, when they were created. But here in Jubilees chapter 2, it says that the angels, or the ministering spirits, using a New Testament, I got a little crook in my neck, sorry. A New Testament saying that the ministering spirits, or the angels, were created on the first day of creation. I'll read it again. This is Jubilees chapter 2, verse 2. For on the first day he created the heavens which are above, and the earth and the waters, and all the spirits which minister before him, the angels of the presence, and the angels of sanctification, and the angels of the spirit of fire, and the angels of the spirit of winds, or the ruach of winds, and the angels of the clouds, and of darkness, and of snow, and of hail, and of hoarfrost, and the angels of the abysses, and of the thunder, and of the lightning, and the angels of the spirits of cold, and of heat, and of winter, and of spring, and of harvest, and of the summer, and of all the spirits of his creatures which are in the heavens and on the earth, and in the abysses, and in the darkness, and the light, and the morning, and the evening, which he prepared in his wisdom of his heart. All this was created on the first day. All the spirits, and all the spirits that run the various parts and parcels, the spirit of winter, the spirit of summer, the spirit of thunder, lightning, the spirit of fall, the spirit of hoarfrost. All these things are ran by angelic spirits, and they were all created on the first day. Then it said it created all the spirits of everything in heaven and in earth. That's key. For it says in the book of Ecclesiastes that when a person dies, their body goes back to the ground and their spirit goes back to Hayah, who gave it. So my spirit and your spirit was created on the first day of creation. all those eons ago, whenever it was. That my spirit that is speaking to you now. So it says in Genesis, when he breathed into man the breath of life, man became a speaking spirit. In the Hebrew it says, instead of a living soul, he became a speaking spirit. He could speak. He could talk. And once you were given life, when you were conceived, and I was conceived, child, a spirit left the realm of Hayah and entered into that fertilized egg in your mother's womb. And at that moment, you became a living soul. Now you had to learn to speak. You babbled when you came out the womb. You were a babbler, screaming a babbler like me. We had to learn the language of our mother tongue, it's called. But suffice it to say that everything that you and I are today, we were at that moment. Everything. From a spiritual aspect. And that spirit that is us was, it says here in Jubilees chapter 2, that spirit was created on the first day. I'll read it again. Jubilees 2, taking it from the spot. The spirit of harvest and of summer and of all the spirits of his creatures which are in the heavens and on the earth. Underline that. So all the spirits of all the creatures in heaven and on earth were created in the first day. And in the abysses and in the darkness and the light and the morning and evening which he prepared in the wisdom of his heart. So all the spirits of darkness were created that day. All the spirits of light were created that day. So it's a myriad, for lack of a better term, of spirits created. All the angels were created. And all the ones that had the various jobs were created that same day, the first day of creation. This is not found in the book of Genesis. But you find in the book of Genesis him speaking to someone saying, let us make man. We now know from the book of Jubilees, chapter 2, verse 2, who that was. That was the angels that he had created the first day. Let's keep reading. Jubilees chapter 2, verse 3. And when he saw his works, he blessed them, and they praised before him on account of all his works. For he created 7 great works on the first day. Now, in this version of Jubilees, chapter 2, verse 3, the wording is all jumbled up. I don't know why. It says, for he saw his works and blessed him. That doesn't even make sense. When he saw his works, they blessed him. They blessed him. They blessed him, not and blessed him. It's like the word they is missing in this presentation. I don't know why. I don't know if it's purposeful or accidental. Maybe they got a bad editor. And when it says, when we saw his works, they blessed him and praised before him on account of all his works. For he created 7 great works on the first day. This is Jubilees chapter 2, verse 3. Verse 4. And on the second day, he made the firmament between the waters, and the waters were divided on that day. Half of them went above, and half of them went down below from the firmament above the face of the earth. And this was the only work Yahweh made on the second day. So on the second day, he established the firmament above and beneath the surface of the earth. Now, I don't know if you're a flat earther, but Genesis as well as Jubilees supports that view. Now, if you leave the earth and look back at it, you could be looking at a flat sphere, not a full-formed sphere. I don't know. I've never been to space except once when I passed away, and I left the earth. What I saw was a circle as I left it. I only saw it for a moment. And there's testimonies of that event when I was dead for 7.5 minutes on this channel. Very old, early stuff. You gotta go way, way back to find it. But suffice to say, Brother Holly has passed away. I was resuscitated. I have gone beyond the veil of this life into the next. I have seen certain things on the other side, and the Most High has allowed me to talk about it. I was in a place where there was complete, utter, total peace. It was a place of light, like you've never seen before. I became a part of that light, for lack of a better term. That light that I saw filled me once it touched me. And I was at complete peace. I was unbothered. Nothing could bother me. I had never felt like that, and I have never felt like that since. There's always been this certain concern that you have while you're on in this place. You just have a certain base level of concern about things. I was in a place where you don't have that. Oh, praises. And there was a person or personage beside me in that place. I didn't notice him at first. He just seemed to appear on my left side. And he was looking at me, and I was looking at him. And I went, hey, hey, and he went, hey. The next thing I know, I was sucked back, like someone put me in a vacuum cleaner, and I was still on the edge of the bed. And the paramedics were in there, working on my body. And I felt like this, hand or force was pushing my spirit back into my body. And I was struggling. I was fighting not to go back. Because remember, I had just left a place where I had no cares. Now I'm back on the earth. And now, I'm back where, there's emergency workers. They're about to paddle me when my spirit was put back in my body. And the sensation that I got was the same sensation you have when you put your foot in the shoe. That feeling of your foot going in the shoe is what it felt like for my spirit to be put back in my body. Once I was back and my spirit was back in my body became alive again, as you see it now. And I started swinging on the paramedics. I was a young man. I was 22 years old. So I started swinging on the paramedics, screaming at them that I was okay. And my first wife, you out there, Bella, all praise. May the Most High bless you. She looked like she had seen a ghost. She was completely, she had a complete face of astonishment on her face. Not only was her husband dead when she found him, now he's back alive, and he's mad that he's back. So suffice to say, it took quite a while for me to calm my wife down. And it took quite a while for me to calm myself down, because now I'm back in a place that I don't want to be. And what we're reading here in Jubilees chapter 2 is that my spirit was created on the first day of creation, along with the other spirits. Your spirit, my spirit, all of our spirits were created that day. And it was on the day of my conception that my spirit was put into a body. That little 2-cell body, a spirit, a life was put in there. And Brother Holly, that day, not the day I was born out of my mother's womb, I had been a living soul for approximately 9 months previous to that. But the day of conception is the day you become a living soul. So for all you who don't believe that the unborn are living souls, that their spirit has existed since the beginning. So you're killing a person when you kill them. Let that sink in. You're killing a person when you kill them. Just let it sink. And that innocent blood ain't coming off your account. I'll keep reading. Jubilees chapter 4. Chapter 2, verse 4. And on the second day he made the firmament between the waters, and the waters were divided on that day. Half of them went above, half of them went down below the firmament above the face of the earth. And this was the only work Yahweh made on the second day. On the third day he made the waters to spread over the face of the whole earth into one place. And the dry land appeared. And the waters did so as he commanded them. And they withdrew from off the face of the earth into one place outside of this firmament. And the dry land appeared. So you don't get that in Jubilees. You don't get that in Genesis. It's only in Jubilees you get that level of detail. And the water was gathered off of the firmament into one place for the dry land to appear. And on that day he created gathering places for all the seas, and for the rivers, and the gatherings of the waters in the mountains and on the earth, and all the lakes, and all the dew of the earth, and the seed which is sown, everything that shall be eaten, and the fruit-bearing trees, and the forests, and the Garden of Eden for rest. Detail. The Garden of Eden was not created as some side creation to the whole plan. The Garden of Eden was just to be a place of rest and relaxation for man. Man was never intended to work. Ever. Never intended to work. You're supposed to go to the Garden of Eden and live. He wasn't to live from the sweat of his brow. That was the curse. The curse came upon him for man to live by the sweat of his brow because of his transgression in the garden. But before the transgression, the Garden of Eden was a place of rest. Period, point blank, full stop. There was fruit to eat. He had his wife, he had fruit to eat. And he had been given the command to be fruitful and multiply. Rest, relaxation, and make babies. That would have been this whole planet if Adam had never transgressed. Yes, it's been a planet full of people, all perfectly healthy, all perfectly well, just enjoying one another. Wow. And the Garden of Eden for rest. These 4 great works made he on the third day. So the third day made the Garden of Eden for rest. Now he's 3 days out from making man, but he already had man in his mind. And I said in the second broadcast, we're going to get into he had the children of Jacob in his mind too, in the creation. But we'll get into it. And on the 4th day, he created the sun and the moon and the stars and set them in the firmament of the heaven to shine upon all the earth and to rule over the day and the night. This is Jubilees chapter 2, verse 8. And to divide between night and day and between darkness and light. And Yahweh appointed the sun to be the great sign on the earth for days, for Sabbaths, and for months, and for appointed feasts, and for weeks of years, and for jubilees, and for all seasons of the earth. Will you highlight? Whoa, give me a full. I thought the moon was for signs of Sabbaths and feasts. Oh no. That's that Greek Septuagint messed you up. What's it say right here? I'll read it again. Jubilees chapter 2, verse 9. We're correcting from the Hebrew scriptures the misconceptions found in the book of Genesis. How they Greeked it up. They messed it up for you. And Yahweh appointed the sun to be a great sign on the earth for days, solar days, and for Sabbaths, and for months, and for the appointed feasts, and for weeks of years, and for jubilees, and for all seasons of the years. And he divided between the light and between the darkness, and he established it in order to help all things which sprout forth and grow on the earth. It is well known in people who work in agriculture, who plant things to eat, that plants need both, basically 12 hours of light and 12 hours of darkness to be at their optimum performance and optimum yield. And sometimes they put lights out in the fields during the things that grow during the time when the sun's not very prevalent. when you don't get at least 12 hours of sunlight, they'll put lights out in the fields to provide artificial light for the flowers or the plants, so they'll think. So the plants will have their light sensitivity triggered, and they'll continue to flourish. And at other times, when you get more than 12 hours of light, they'll put the plants in enclosures to shut them off, so they get 12 full hours of darkness and no light. And they do this to increase the yield and to increase the potency or the vitality of the plant that they grow. Usually it's some fruit tree they do this to, something that we consume. And here's why. Because the plants were designed to be sensitive to the existence of the sun and the taking away the sun and being under the rulership of the darkness in nighttime. This is Jubilees chapter 2 verse 10. And he divided between the light and between the darkness, and he established it in order to help all things which sprout forth to grow on the earth, just like we described. I just described a few seconds ago. And these three kinds he made on the fourth day. And on the fifth day he created the great sea monsters in the depths of the waters, for these were the first things of flesh that were created by his hands. And every creeping thing in the waters, and the fish, and everything that flies, the birds, and all their kind. Jubilees 2 verse 12. And the sun rose above them to strengthen them, and above everything that was on the face of the earth, everything that sprouts forth from the earth, and all the fruit-bearing trees, and all flesh. These three kinds he created the fifth day. And on the sixth day he created all the beasts of the earth, and all the cattle, and every creeping thing upon the earth. All right, sounds just like Genesis. Jubilees 2:14. And after all of this he created man, a man and a woman. This is where Genesis and Jubilees diverge. It says right here, on the sixth day he created woman on that day. Not according to Genesis. He just made man on that day. He made woman later. But according to Jubilees, like I said, we're using the Hebraic scriptures to correct our thinking of what we get Greeked up in Genesis. We can't trust the copies of the book of Genesis we can come across these days. All the Hebraic ones, true Hebraic sources, are all gone. We have to reestablish them. They're all gone. Or they're so expensive that you and I can never afford them. Suffice it to say that we've been given books about our history written by our enemies. And you want to trust that? Wow. I'll read it again. Jubilees chapter 2 verse 14. And after all this he created man, a man and a woman created he them, and gave him dominion over all that is upon the earth, and in the seas, over everything that flies, and over beasts, and over cattle, and over everything that moves on the earth, and over the whole earth, and over all this he gave him dominion. So the man was the only one given dominion. Though he created the woman was not given dominion over everything. The man was. Sorry, ladies. Don't get in your feelings. It's the Constantine Christians and the Hebrew Christianites that keep you in your feelings, ladies. Every man knows the value of his woman. Every man knows. Every man who has a woman or has had a woman knows the value of his woman. And he appreciates his woman. His woman is a gift from the Almighty. He knows that. So don't get in your feelings, ladies. Okay? Don't get in your feelings. It says what it says. Don't get in your feelings. All praises. Jubilees chapter 2 verse 15. And these four kinds he created on the sixth day, and there were altogether 22 kinds, and he finished all his works on the sixth day. All that is in the heavens and on the earth and in the seas and in the abyss and in the light and in the darkness and in everything. And he gave us a great sign, the Sabbath day, that we should work 6 days, but keep Sabbath on the seventh day. From all work we highlight. So we see from Jubilees chapter 2, verse 2, that on the first day of creation, the Most High made all the angelic hosts, all the spirits, all spirits on all the things on the earth and under the earth, in the seas, everywhere. All spirits were created that day, as well as the angelic hosts. Now, as you noticed, here in Jubilees, you did not hear the Most High asking anybody, saying, let us make man. It just says he made man and woman. He did it. Singular, he did it. So, you know from Jubilees chapter 2, verse 2, that the spirits of the angelic hosts, all of them were created. All the trillions upon trillions of them were created on that day, as well as the spirits of all people were created on the second day, on Shalak, on the first day. All spirits were created on the first day. So if you go with the Genesis account, let us make man in our image, who is he talking to? If you go with that, from understanding what's written here in Jubilees chapter 2, the only thing you can conclude with any validity is that he was talking to the angels, which he had previously made. He was talking to them. Now, I'll just be honest with you. I'll go with the Jubilees version of events as opposed to the Genesis version of events. I know the Jubilees version of events has been Greeked up and Latined up, and I know if you search and get it, you can find a Hebraic copy of Jubilees, and you'll get the Hebraic version of the events from the source. All praises to AHAYAH and AHAYAH alone, for he is our Master, our Savior, our Redeemer and King. Yada, Hayah.